Thank you for coming today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Joshua Schultz. I'll get into a brief thing in my background, but more importantly, what I want to talk about today is operationalizing excellence, right? Building what I call this SMB blueprint, the blueprint of what builds a great company that gets great outcomes. And to me, it's a machine, and we'll get into that in a second, but what happens is you buy a business and you've got your Excel model, you've got your value creation plan, you've got the things that you know how to tweak before you buy the business. But then you get in there and you realize that it takes twice as long to deliver value to your customers because your techs are slow or your machine's broken. You realize nobody's updated the machine in 5 years and it's months away from breaking down, which is going to totally handicap your manufacturing plant. You realize nobody's had a raise in 3 years because the guy's been knowing he's going to sell and pulling all that cash in. You have problem after problem. Before you know it, you can't deliver a product, you have no one to sell to, you're getting bad rapport with your customers, and stuff starts going downhill fast. Now, the experienced operator, the owner, would have known what to do, but you don't have his 15, 20, 50 years of experience to fix this. So the question is, what do I do? Where do I start? And so I'm going to try to, in about 40 minutes, run through at a high level, when you get there, what you should be doing. Now, this happens over and over and over. It's not just when you buy a company, when you start a company. It happens when you hit about 50 people. It happens when you hit about 120 people. It happens over and over and over because things break. If you overbuild too early, everybody's just going to be doing process all day and you're not going to have a company. You're just going to have a really well-run machine that does nothing. If you have nothing, it's going to fall apart. It's all going to be tacit knowledge in people's minds. And so how do we create something, implement the right playbooks at the right time, and build something that is operationally excellent? And what does operationally excellent even mean? Now, I'm a work backwards person, so this whole thing comes from what do the great companies do? When did they do it? How do they do it? Why does it matter? And then how does that flow down into what I do over 3 to 5 years? How does that flow down into what I do every year, every quarter, every month, every week, and every day? So I call that the SMB blueprint, and I'm going to give you 4 pillars. I might not give it to you, but clicker's not working. I'm going to give you 4 pillars that there we go. 4 pillars that basically the SMB blueprint is built on, and my hope is that you would take these. And I'm not going to give you tactics. This isn't a tactics talk. This is to give you kind of the broad framework from which you can pull the tactics and help you know what to do. I have coached so many people. So I had the pleasure of learning operations, helping build my dad's business growing up. I left finance in Manhattan, came back and started working. From there, I also was an accounting professor at Syracuse University for the MBA program. And then I got asked to be inside of the Tech Hub, which was basically an incubator for businesses in Syracuse, New York, a small town in upstate New York. So I got to mentor 50 businesses and see the same problems over and over, the same ones I faced with my father, the same ones that people that were consulting with Syracuse University were facing. I then went on and we sold our business and started working for a private equity firm, the one that bought our business. They put me in charge of 30 plants. Problems that I didn't have at $14 million were a major problem. I used to always say I was proud of it. I hate meetings. You don't need a meeting ever. When you have 30 plants, hundreds of employees, and you can't get everybody to just focus on one thing. You can't get them to operate, to sell, to deliver. All of a sudden, there are key moments when a meeting becomes necessary. And there was a lot of those ahas as we grew that I realized it's not only what's important and what's not important, but it's also when, as you scale. How small are you? What are your problems you're facing? And so, again, this is a work backwards playbook from what matters. So I'm going to go over the 4 pillars, and what I hope that you do is say, what are the problems that I'm facing in this machine, in this problem, in strategy, and then what can I do to fix it at the level that I'm at? And if you want to go deep on that, I'll talk to you after this, as long as you want, because I love this stuff. So, what is, I say a world-class company, but an operationally excellent company? 1, everything you do is top 1%. It's world-class. If you really want to be a world-class company, I hear people say this, and then they go use the template invoice out of ServiceTitan, or they go use the lowest level of manufacturing expertise. They don't document anything. Nothing's 5S. If you really want to be the best, you're going to think about every single point that your customer touches, every point your employee touches, every touch point that your bank interacts with you on, and you're going to want it to be the best, world-class. You're going to want to have the best approach to preventative maintenance. It takes time to do. It takes years to do. But this is the goal. This is what we're driving and striving to build. We also want it to be emotional. The best brands have an emotional attachment. If you go in every day and you say, we're going to try and grow this company, I need you guys to do your things, the scorecard is off, please get it together, I'm going to fire you. You're going to constantly fire, have turnover, and you're not going to really build a thriving company. But if you can connect them to something higher, and we'll get into this in Pillar 3, and you can get them excited about what you're building, their piece of it, clarity, and how they benefit as a result of it, you can start to build something exciting where you are no longer having to solve all the problems of your company. You have awesome leaders and problem solvers that are bought in, giving their energy to also help you solve. And that's when stuff gets exciting, you get momentum, and all of a sudden it feels like you're running a company, not just playing whack-a-mole all day long. And then you have, are we doing the right things in the right way and getting the right result? And so this is more of a measurement thing. And we're going to apply this to everything, every machine that we look at. So for me, this is building a world-class company. What do I want as a result of this? Let's define success. For me, the business has always been the product. I have sold sand castings, I've sold tech services, I've sold coffee, I've sold everything, and I don't care what it is. To me, the business is the product. How are we going to operationalize this business so that we have success? And here's how I've measured success, and this has evolved a lot over the years. First of all, are we developing employees? A business that is not helping people learn, grow, whether you're sharing blog articles with your employees, whether you're sending them a podcast, whether you're paying for training, whether you're bringing them here with you. Are we developing our employees? If the employees aren't growing, you are eventually going to plateau. You cannot outgrow your employee. There is no tech stack, no automation, no AI that is going to help you outgrow your employees. They are your team. They are going to be the ones that are going to save you. We want to develop them. Are we helping our customers be profitable? Our customers are not so much people as they are entities that need to make a profit. It's on them to develop their people and do all of that. Our goal is to help them be profitable to attain that. So are we helping our customers be profitable? Are we trying to rethink what we're selling them and how we're selling it to them? Are we enriching our stakeholders? This could be the banks, this could be your investors. They are a key part because they're going to bring connection, they're going to bring possibly more capital, they're going to bring opportunities. It's key that are we enriching them, their lives? This is not just about money. Do you hold if you have a lot of stakeholders, not all businesses do, hold an annual event, make it fun, make it so that people want to invest in you just so they can be part of the community that you're building. Advancing the industry. This one's not pertinent to all of them, but in some of the tech industries I've worked in, we have contributed research to the industry. Are you developing best practices, sharing those publicly? There is something really impactful about shaping an industry. And I don't mean a massive industry, it can be a niche industry, but being able to figure out a better way to do things, working with competitors to do that can be really powerful. Sending out white papers, talking at universities can be powerful. And the last one would be connecting with your community. So this is the community that we hire from. This is the community that we work in. These are the streets that we drive during the day. These are the Pop Warner that our kids go to. So we want to be investing in the community because, again, this is success. This actually feeds back into your business over and over and over. The more that you do this, the more you're going to be able to hire, you're going to find customers, people are going to have heard of you. It's going to grease all the wheels of everything you want to do operationally. And what you'll notice is the key here is people. And a lot of times when we're doing our models, we're doing our value creation, we're forgetting that people drive everything. Your vendor's a customer, or I'm sorry, your vendor's a person. Your customer is a person. Your employee is a person. The person that you want to hire, that excellent sales guy you're trying to recruit, is a person. And if you don't have a people-centered mentality as an operator, you are missing a major component of growing an enduring business. So we've got our operations that we want to run. We also have this thing, aspirations. Now, we're going to use the operations to fulfill our aspirations. But no matter what those are, there's a bottleneck in between. Whether you want to build a park in your community, you want to start a not-for-profit, you want to hire more people, you want to work less, you want to get that boat. Whatever it is, cash flow solves it. So while cash flow isn't the most important thing, for an operator, it's the ultimate metric because it's going to enable everything else that we're going to do, all right? So no matter what we want to do, whether it's operational, business, personal, or community focus, industry, acquisition, it all needs cash. So cash is the measure. Cash is what we're going to talk about every single day. Cash is what every scorecard pushes towards, whether it's sales, ops, or finance. Cash is what the strategy is driving. Cash is the most important thing to talk about. It just isn't the most important thing. And it's important to explain this to all employees because this can be a confusing aspect. This enables everything you want to do, tech, everything you want to do, operator, everything you want to do, manager. So I don't think it's important, and you don't think it's important, but for everything we want to do, it's the most important thing. And so the goal is, how do we maximize the cash flow? That is our job as an operator. Now, there are other roles in the company, right? There is visionary. I'm going to work on strategy, direction. I'm going to acquire excellent talent because I'm a magnet and I'm charismatic. But that is not what we're talking about. That is external to the company. Today, I'm talking about the operator. And what the operator does is infuses energy, which we'll get into in a little bit, into an operation that is full of friction. Operations, by nature, is a series of friction points, connections, transfers. We have 4 flows: money, people, information, and material. That stuff gets lost, we waste money, gets confused. As that goes through, we are losing things. It's a natural closed system, loses energy. So we put energy in, we work on lowering the friction, and we spit out cash flow. And that cash flow is, if you're small, for you to go do your stuff, and if you're bigger, it's for your partner to go figure out, how do I get the next acquisition, the next service truck, whatever it is that I want to acquire. So this is kind of our model of how we're going to view things. Now, when you take that, as an operator, you aren't just doing operations. So these are 2 different things. Operationalizing a company is making it so that it's systematic, it scales, it's trainable, it's documented. It's something that you can hand to people, you can hire into, you can go from 10 to 100 people. That is operationalizing something. And so that's what I'm talking about today. So when we're an operator, we are operating the business, but we aren't technically in operations only. That should be one of our areas. So the first thing is sales. I'm going to walk through this really quick. Now, this is my first pillar. How do you view your business? I view my business as a machine. I want to tweak it. I want to replace parts. I want to get a new motor. And I just keep tweaking this machine. I don't throw it out. I don't ignore it. If one of these parts breaks, the whole business breaks at some point. You can't continue to grow without all these machines working together. So for me, this is the framework that I use. When I'm looking at fixing a business, again, you walk in, you're brand new, or it's just a business that's new to you, there's 1,000 things going on. Everybody complaining. Have you guys ever done that one-on-one thing where you talk to everybody in the company over 2 weeks and you just end up with 14 pages of complaints from the water's never cold enough to our 2 biggest customers are about to leave? And you're like, wow, like what do you do with that information? For me, I need a framework to put it into so that I can prioritize it, so that I can understand what to work on, what can wait. So I'm going to give you my framework. Sales. Purpose of this machine is to communicate value outside the company, not just customers, industry, community, stakeholders, vendors, people you want to hire in the future. All of that is important. If you're not purposely sending a message, then you're unpurposely sending a message. Something's getting out to the community. Horrible place to work for. It's going to really hurt your hiring. So you want to purposefully be shaping these messages. Customer is obviously one of the most important that we focus on, but sales is about communicating value. Like there's a lot in that bucket. The next thing is operations. Are we delivering that value? So if part of our sales is to communicate value to the community, and we do this so that we have a better time hiring, our word gets around, we have a reputation for being a good company to work for, we pay for a bunch of people to train. Well, we got to deliver on that. How are we actually going to train them? We're going to hire trainers, we're going to pull them in, we're going to find people that are having a hard time getting jobs, we're going to pull them in, we're going to pay for it all, we're going to cater it. That's all the ops, all the logistics of making that work to help our sales team get a better reputation in the community so that our people team can do a better job of hiring and we have a good reputation of caring about people and getting them trained up. Finance. So I'm calling these by very generic names, sales, ops, and finance. Sales obviously is sales and marketing and branding and all that stuff, but that's the machine that we're talking about, and there's a million sub-steps there. All of these have so many playbooks under them. Finance is really your data center. It is not bookkeeping. It is your data center that feeds back into the other 2. How do you know what your ROI is on marketing? How do you know how long it takes for an employee to really become versed in what they're doing? Well, that's your finance function. They measure the numbers, they measure the data, they measure the money, they measure time, they measure utilization, they measure capacity, and you should start looking at, how do I know when to get that new truck? Your finance function should know that. And your finance function might just be you 6 hours a week if you're really small. It might be a bookkeeper that you've enabled with some calculators built in Excel if you're medium. And it might be an actual team if you're 50 million plus. But the finance function should be where you go to say, I want to make this decision. or is our op improving and into what number? It's where you go for the numbers, for your source of truth. And that feeds back to the other two. Now, this is all built on what I call a scalable platform, a series of ways in which you operate these machines. For example, I'll give you one of them to make it clear. It should be async. Not saying that the company has to be async. I'm saying everything should be built async. If I have to meet with Jackie every single time that I want to get something done, that I want to make a decision, I need her to be free, I need to be free. I'm preventing her from doing something. I'm forcing my urgency on her. I'm saying what I have going on is more important than what you have going on. I need you to stop and talk to me. So I can't do that. If you have a company of people doing that, you have a company of people that are forcing urgency across the board, not getting anything done unless 6 people at one time who are probably making a collective worth $600,000 a year, all is sitting in a room focused on one thing. Build it async. Build systems to make decisions async, solve problems async, make process changes async. It's really easy nowadays with Cloud, Slack, Confluence. There's so many tools. We can execute and share tasks. We should never be updating people on things live. It should never happen. That's a waste. That's an example of the scalable platform. Are we building something that as it grows isn't going to create more friction? Remember, our jobs as operators is to lower the friction. Now, if you had asked me after chess group what was the most important, I would have said, there's the model right there. Those 3 by a scalable platform. I was a systems guy. And then I got thrown into a $150 million company, partnered with a CEO, trying to run 32 plants in the US and 1 in Mexico. And a couple things changed. One, not everybody knows what you know, thinks how you think, and is trying to get done what you're trying to get done. So all of a sudden, you go from a small group of tight-knit people that have known each other their whole life, just trying to grow this business and make it valuable, to all over the spectrum. Some people are there because they have to be. Some want a job. Some want to grow their own career. Some are there biding time. So how do we get them together? We need to have strategy. We'll get into strategy in a second, but we need something that they can all align around, right? We need them to know, like, here's where we're going. And the biggest problem with most strategy that I see is, one, it's not tactical enough. It's in the clouds. It doesn't help people know what to do on Tuesday. How do I know what to do on Tuesday to help with the strategy? The second thing is, people aren't aligned to it. They don't care. It's not shared. It's not clear. Clarity builds trust. Trust and respect is the bedrock of really building a great people machine. People and culture is the second thing I learned that I added to this, because people and culture are the ones running the machines. I can only build so many, repair so many, understand so many problems at a time. But if I have a team of 10, 20, 30, 40 people that are like-minded and we're trying to build the same thing, you have a powerhouse of a company now. And that comes with developing people, onboarding properly, early expectations, again, clarity. So we want to build that machine. And then principles and values. So use mission, vision, all that stuff. I like these 2 because these are the 2 I use on a Tuesday. These are the 2 that I bring up all the time. Principles is how do we make a decision. I have always written a decision matrix. If I'm not around and you use these 5 things, you'll probably come to the same conclusion I will. And if you come to a different one, I'll still back you up. We approach it differently, but at least you ran through this. Did you take care of the customer? Were all the employees safe? Did you make sure that you install the top 1% system, right? As long as you follow through all that, if we did wrong by the customer, refund them. If we didn't, I don't care how much they complain, we're not refunding them. Follow the principle. These are the principles by which we operate that we feel is important. And then the values, what do we hold dear? Every person is important and unique, and it's not on us to change that. You have your own, but build them. Talk about them every day. Put them in your CEO newsletter. Bring them up in the daily huddle. I'm always referencing some version or portion of this because it doesn't happen until you say it 50, 100 times over and over. You want your team mocking you out for your values, mocking you out for your principles, mocking you out for the things that you're trying to do, because that means it's drilling in finally and they get it. So you can think through all these, and again, you can start to think about how do I increase volume, velocity, variety, and value through all of these. Right? How do I get higher value recruits? How do I get higher value customers? How do I get more recruits? How do I get more leads? That's thinking through scale. Again, a series of a lot of playbooks, but the idea is you think through each of those machines, you think of how to increase the 4 V's across them, and you start to come up with new ways to get more done with less, lowering friction. So pillar 2, and I'm going to run through the rest of this. Pillar 2 is the operating model. When I coach somebody, almost always the first question I get is, what am I supposed to be doing? I know what the owner does. He wants the money. I know what this guy does. I wrote his job description. What am I supposed to be doing? Because we don't know, we end up running back and forth, right? Fire, this, I can solve that problem. I'm the best problem solver. I know how to code, I can do that. You end up just running to all the things you know how to do because you're the only guy willing to do it. That is not your job as an operator. In fact, you're ruining the company if you're doing that. I had a saying at one of the companies that I ran, a manufacturing company. Somebody would come and they'd say, hey, there's this problem and I think you're the only one that can do it. And that's a $2,000 problem. I only solve $100,000 problems and up. Sorry. You are well capable to solve a $2,000 problem, and even if you can't, it's a $2,000 problem. Do your best, bud. I'll help you train, I'll give you the resources, but I'm not solving that problem. You need your team to start to realize that this isn't just pushing stuff upstream and downstream. It's on us to become problem solvers. And there's a lot more behind that. You don't just say that and walk away. Again, there's a bunch of systems and stuff and ways that you approach your people, things that you do. So what is your job as an operator? It's to use your assets to produce revenue. That's your job. You are given square footage, you are given trucks, you are given people, you are given IT systems, you're given a number of things, whether it's you bought them for yourself or somebody hired you. Your job is to manage those and turn them into revenue. Your job is then to take that revenue and turn it into profit. And then the last one, you probably guess, is take that profit and turn it into cash. A lot of people forget that last one. A lot of companies with great EBITDA and zero cash going insolvent. So I call this asset effectiveness, margin efficiency, and cash productivity. This is your job. So when you're looking and walking around your plant, your building, doing ride-alongs, what you're looking for is, how do I get more asset effectiveness? Do we need more assets, and how do I get more effectiveness out of the ones we have? How do I get more margin efficiency? Are we spending money on 18 pieces of software and really we're only using 2 and the rest of them are just because it's a little prettier than Google Sheets? How much money are we wasting? And then turn that into cash. That's AR, AP, and inventory. No way around it. You maximize AP, you minimize AR, you minimize inventory, and the more you can do that, the more you turn it into cash. Again, how do you do that? Sit down and think, how can I lower my AR and raise my cash flow? Can they prepay for anything? Can I call it a membership and really just a prepayment? You can get creative, but your goal is to work with that. Now you can multiply this together. These are actual ratios. You can multiply this together and you can score yourself every month. You can look at the balance sheet and score yourself. One company I work with is heavy into people capital. For them, on the asset effectiveness, we include salaries as part of the assets because that's our capital. That's who's creating the revenue. So you can get creative. You don't have to follow GAAP principles. Nobody's going to come in if you start changing numbers around. So what does this look like? It looks like sales over assets, income over sales, operating cash flow over income. If you're good at math, you know you can cancel those out. And what are you looking at? You're looking at, for my assets, what's the income or what's the cash flow I'm getting? That is your job as an operator. Maximize cash flow. So what you do is you go through here and you start to say, what are all the ways that I can get more revenue per asset? Am I maximizing my square footage? Do I have room to fit a machine? Are my trucks optimized on the route when doing their deliveries? Am I storing things in the proper way? How can I get more revenue per asset? You can go through and again, you can run it a leaner shop, get rid of waste. And then you got ARAP. So this is your job as an operator, is to constantly think, how can I maximize these? How can I push these? And you should think in ratios. Just because you can get another $1 million in revenue if you buy a $2 million machine, that's a 0.5 ratio on this. You're going to dilute that. If your sales to asset ratio is 3 and you add in 0.5, in other words, you spend $2 million on a machine for $1 million in revenue, you're going to dilute that. It's more revenue, but it's actually going to add friction and problems and slow things down and tie up your cash flow. So what you want to do is think of things in ratios. You are a decision maker, and your job is to say no more than yes now as an operator. There's tons of opportunity out there. Your job is to find the ones that help the company get better and better and better. We call that accretive ratios. Pillar 3. So we've got the operating model, we've got the perspective of your business, the machines, the power center. I said this earlier, people. If I boiled everything that I have learned with people down, and this is managing a wide spectrum of individuals, trust and respect is the most fundamental thing. If they don't trust you and respect you, it doesn't matter what system, incentive package, feedback, one-on-one system, you could have the coolest template in the world, like whatever we think is going to solve these problems. If there's not trust and respect, you've got literally nothing. They're looking for a chance to leave you, burn you, get out of there. They don't trust you. Our job is to build trust. So you want to maximize all that stuff, you need people to help you do it. They know the business, they have the history. So you need to maximize trust. When you start, people talk about day one. They talk about the speech that you give. They talk about how to really like supercharge a 90-day sprint and get things done. If you skip this, just throw it in the trash because you are going to get 1/10 of what you should be getting done with the same payroll, the same crew. You need trust and respect. You know what that happens? The two most important places that I have found this are the daily huddle. I know nobody wants to get up at 4:30 a.m. and make the daily huddle, but that is where the magic happens, and ride-alongs. Guys do not trust you if they don't ever see you do it. I'm not saying that that should be your job, but I'm saying that's where the trust is built. Do a ride-along and ask about their history. The daily huddle is my favorite, personally. I do those as much as possible. There are consulting clients where I tell them I will not do consulting unless I can come be part of the daily huddle. That's where the nudges happen. That's where they're more vulnerable. They're open to talking. They haven't started working yet. You start to lay down ideas and concepts. Most people don't want a 14-page strategy that you really enjoyed writing over the weekend and you're super excited about and that you tweeted out. Like, they don't care. What they do care about is how it affects them. And so if you take the next 30 days and share nuggets of that strategy document with your team, say, hey, just so you know, one of the things I'm really excited about, we want to be top 1% pay in the area. Can't do it right now. We don't have the cash. But I think if we go after this market, and I think if we service them correctly, and I think if we get our billing efficiency correct, I actually think we can pull it off. Can you help me do that? 3 minutes, you're done. Then, okay, let's talk about that. Let's go over the scorecard. You go to the daily huddle. Then the next day, a small little nugget. And the next day, a small little nugget. People nudge and will change over time. And the more that you follow through on what you told them, hey, you know what? We didn't get the full yet, but we did get more cash. So I'm going to start us towards that. I'm going to bump everybody up, $1.50 because I think we have enough to at least start working towards that goal. That's the trust and respect. They said something and they want something good for me. That's the respect. They followed through on trying to make it happen. That's the trust. Development. Always be developing yourself. I don't have to tell this crew that you're here. And then always be developing your team. Always be training your team in all different ways. Again, blog article, podcast, whatever you want to do. And then plan, so that's the kind of the personal level. The business career level is plan and execute. People love execution, but like nobody has plans. I ask people all the time, what's your number one goal right now? Well, I don't know, we're 18 things. You can't even keep this straight. How is your team going to keep this straight? You should have one goal at a time, 6 to 18 months, however long it takes. Knock them out like dominoes. Make it a sequence. But you want to have a plan for your team. If they have a plan, they execute, they get accountability over and over and over again, they'll get clarity, which is key, they'll have trust and respect, and you will literally be able to do anything with your team. I have seen entire teams turn around with trust, respect, and clarity. So how do you get them to, kind of talk about this. A good point on this, I've realized, I'm a systems guy. The more your team trusts and respects you, the less systems you need. Systems are bureaucracy, which I don't like. You have to use them to scale, but like you don't need as much built out if your team trusts you, because they'll be out there working for you too. Like you don't have to say, leave the place at 6:30. The guy will be in the truck at 6:15 because he wants to get more done. He wants to maximize cash. He loves what you're building. So it's less you have to worry about. Getting people to connect. I struggled with this because a large company, there was a lot of people that didn't care about money. And I was like, what do you care about? We all talk about cash flow. We want to grow, and you guys do not care about money. So what I found is there's these 9 things. And each of these 9 have a series of like 5 to 20 ways that you can utilize them to connect to people. And what I tell people is pick 1 to 2. But just think of 1 to 2 ways that you could use each of these with your crew. Because some people are brought on, attracted to vision. I want to be part of something big. Some people, feedback. I'm a feedback guy. If you don't give me feedback for like months, I feel like I'm drifting. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm here. I bounce. Some people like accountability. They like to check in every day, know that what they're doing is right. Did I have a good day or a bad day? I want you to know that I had a good day or a bad day. People are all over the board, but this captures the majority of people. And so what I do is I have a system or 2 for each one, and that way I'm kind of helping everybody connect with the company and the vision. So I'm clear. I give whole company, what do they call town halls? That's my clarity, and I walk through our vision thing once a quarter. Again, you're just trying to find a way to connect with everybody. You want goals? I'll give you goals. You want clarity? I'll tell you everything. Whatever it is that helps you understand what we're trying to do and makes you feel part of what we're doing. And then there's getting them aligned to the strategy. There's 5 ways you can do that. I like all 5. Training, audits, reviews, weekly peer meetings, and incentives. They all hit different parts of our psychology. They hit a little incentive, a little I don't want to fail the test, a little my friend is doing better than me and I want to up the game a little bit. We're hitting a lot of areas, but that's how you start to push people towards what you want them to do, these different areas. So you connect them to your company, and then you help them align to your strategy, all the while developing them, building trust and respect for them. This becomes a lot more fun when you really figure this out and you're working with people that you respect and that respect you versus tirelessly shoving scorecards down somebody's throat, because that's frustrating. I've been there. The last one is strategy. So strategy is really important. This is like the plan execution part. I love Roger Martin's definition here. The right playing field in serving customers. I'm going to modify that because I don't just want to serve customers. I want to serve my community, my industry, my stakeholders, my employees as well. So what we do is we create a direct line from what I call ideals, mission, vision, what is it that I want to do, change the world, the ideal, straight down to my daily scorecard. And I write them all in one document. Here's what we're trying to do. And we're going to do that, selling HVAC. And then you get down into, here's why we're different. We think differently, we operate differently, we're willing to make promises nobody else is willing to make, et cetera. Then you go down into the number one way to get us there is our strategic project, which you talk about in your weekly meeting. That's the most important thing, and who and how is responsible for each individual section, and what's the date. It's accountability that's lined up. And then guaranteed success metrics. So I know for a fact if we produce 10,000 pounds of aluminum a day and we ship all of that aluminum and our quality rate is below 2% and our AR, and I have 7 of these, if all of those are always accurate, I will always make money. So what are the 6 to 7 things that if you did every day, we always X, we always Y, we always Z, you'd make money? Those are called green days. And if you stack green days, you have green weeks. And you guys can see where I'm going with that. So there should be a direct line from we want to change the world all the way down to here's what our day looks like, and this is a win for us. So you take, this is like jumping in the middle, but you have an annual plan. I like the box analogy. Mark Brooks mentioned that once, and I thought it was really useful. I had these 4 here, and I was like, yeah, the box makes sense. We start with a dream. So I'll talk to one of the guys, and I'll say, what do you want this place to look like in a year? Don't start with numbers. Like grow 20%. When somebody tells me their goal is to grow 20%, you've lost me. Like how? Why 20%? Why not 21%? We need to start with what does it look like. I want to come in at 9 every day. I want the team to have already done their daily huddle. I want everybody to be dialed. Like describe qualitatively what that is. And then what are the people, the skills, the capabilities that we need to develop to get there? And what are the systems and the equipment and the resources we need to get there? Then you know what you have to spend to build the company you just described. Now you know your numbers. Now you know your cash and all that stuff. So you build this box plan, and if you expand the plant position, it's a square. To keep it ratioed, you have to have more systems and capability and skills, and your numbers are going to be bigger. And so that turns into your actions, your outcomes, and your projects that you develop. And then that drills down to your 30-day monthly review of the financials. That becomes projects that you can use to make the company better. You make intermediate decisions there. It's a weekly scorecard that you review with your team where you start to adjust the day and your process and your template, and then your daily scorecard as well. And so this should drive straight through the organization. We talked about so much that everybody knows the numbers, the metrics, the strategy, all the way up to the ideals. Again, where does that happen? It happens in the daily huddle. It happens in the weekly meeting. It happens in the newsletter that you use to communicate all the updates to your team. Last part, strategy is fluid. I only ever plan one ahead, 1 year, 1 week, 1 day, because things change. So every week I'm going to reassess and say scorecard came out like crap. What do I need to adjust on the daily? Every quarter I'm going to look and say, okay, I'm about to plan next quarter, what worked over the last 3 months and what didn't. So I have at each fractal, I have a 3-year, a 1 year, but I'm constantly, I don't do a year in all 4 quarters. I do 1 year, 1 quarter. When it gets to quarter 2, I'm going to reassess, use information. Way too much changes in this game. People change, markets change, environments change, interest rates change. 3-year plan, stagnant, posted up is meaningless. It's a guide, and then we keep adjusting. So I call it fractal iteration. So last part, how do we take this and turn it into action? This is the same machine model that I showed you before, but we're going to take the things that we just learned, we're going to put it into a model because I need a framework. When I have a list of 150 things to work on, When I have problems that are getting thrown at me, I need to step away and say, okay, what does this business look like? How do I develop? Am I developing the employees? Am I helping the customers? Am I enriching the stakeholders, right? Am I putting in the community, advancing the industry? And am I doing that all in making cash because I'm doing it in the right way? Cash is the metric on which I'm looking if I'm doing it in the right way. So how do I look at all of that? Well, this is my cash generation machine. I call it the action model. Number one is people. Can't do it without people. It's the most important part. If I was giving this speech 10 years ago, it would have been a bunch of systems up there. Would have talked about scalability and feedback loops and mechanisms, and it would have been awesome. And it's completely useless if you don't have the right people. Being able to hire the right people, have the right culture, talk the right way, draw those people in. Like, you don't need to be charismatic. You need to care. You need clarity, and you need to build trust and respect. You get the right people. You onboard them correctly. You train them. Get them queued up. You tell them that they're doing awesome. You tell them how successful that they're going to be. You prove it with the numbers, with the actions. You build a great people machine. Those people, no matter what role they're in, then need to plan, execute, and have accountability to each other and to others. They hold each other accountable. You hold them accountable. They hold you accountable. My team holds me accountable. I've given them permission. I love it. They say, you said you're going to do this, and you didn't. I'm like, you're right. I got busy, and I deprioritized it. I'm actually still busy. It's going to be another 2 days, but thank you for pointing that out. I'll try to be better on my timing next time. You all get better. The method in which you do this, this is printed right in our daily huddle, top of the board. This is the most important thing for me on the daily huddle. Everything we do is excellent, urgent, and agency. Don't tell me we didn't get enough leads. Tell me we didn't get enough leads. Here's why I think, and here's what we're going to adjust next week. That's called agency. Force your outcome to happen. Don't just tell me, yep, didn't work. Yeah, I know it didn't work. I can see the numbers. I was disappointed all week long. I was excited about what you were going to bring to the table on ideas. If you don't have any ideas, possibly we should switch some roles out here. You shouldn't be the lead tech. I've got ideas, and I'm not even on the road. So again, that conversation happens a little differently, but in my head, that's how it's happening. So you want them to act with urgency. Don't put off to tomorrow, we can do today. I'm going to make a Google sheet. Great, get the computer out right now. Create a new sheet. Can you share it with us? Just throw the columns in there. We'll clean it up later. Force stuff to start happening. That's a momentum thing that changes the energy of a company. And then excellence. Like, we want stuff to be great. I don't want a template invoice. I don't want everything to just be the same way the industry does it. I want every touch point to be amazing. It takes years to get there. Where I am now, we are not there. But that is where we're headed. We're constantly analyzing, how can we make this better? How can we top 1%? So by the time a customer is done with us, or a stakeholder, or we give a tour to a possible employee, people walk out and be like, man, I want to be part of that. I don't even know what exactly attracted me, but like, everything was just amazing. Got the machines. I'm not going to cover that again. Supported by our scalable platform, the way in which we implement new things, strategy directives, and then we have our principle and our values. And then we're injecting energy. You guys remember the energy model? Energy into the ops, lower the friction. So what is that energy? This is another thing I'm gonna give you really quick. If you always have new leads, new information, and new people coming into your business, the leads become customers and cash flow. The information becomes strategy decisions, and the people become your operators, your leaders, your problem solvers. This is what you need constantly going into your business. So if you're a good operator, this is one of your main concerns. You know, I can operate whatever I have to a certain point. Like, you can't raise margins to 95% in the manufacturing business. It's just never going to happen. There is an upper limit on how much you can optimize and clean up and systematize. And that's where operators get, and they get stagnant. Why are you stagnant? It's physics, closed system. It needs more energy. So one of the things that I like to do right away is, let's consistently find great customers, know our ICP, go after it, dial it in, 20 different methods to do it. Let's get great at what is your information flow? How are you finding out what's happening in your industry, adjacent industries, government regulations? And then new people. How do you constantly have new people coming in? Always on hiring. You should have a database of people you've talked to in the last 2 to 3 months that you could call back when you need something. It's proactive. What are the chances you're going to find the right person when all of a sudden this guy quits and you need an operator quick? Like, almost zilch. You're going to be filming with subpar, not the culture you want to build. Again, we want excellence. We want to hire the best. So this is the operating model. And then on top of that, we have what I call community. This is like our immunity. This is problem solving. This is how the business changes and gets better without you needed. This is kind of, when you get to about 20 million or plus, or about maybe 100 people, that becomes really important. And then innovation. How are we micro innovation and macro innovation within our field? And that is the action. This is what's happening all the time as an operator. I am maximizing that operating model I gave you earlier by adjusting all of this. So the next steps, pick a pillar, pick a machine, pick a goal, rewrite part of your strategy. It should all be in one document. It should all flow from ideal to daily scorecard. It should be a 3 to 4 page thing that all makes sense. It's not disconnected in separate places. Give it a shot. Start to share it with your team. Try to build trust and clarity, and start to use these 4 pillars. View it as a machine that it can be tweaked. Understand your people, build trust and respect. Understand your role as an operator, and to think in ratios and start to maximize your company. And then connect it all to strategy, align everybody, and get everybody driven. So I hope this helps. I hope this gives you a way to view your job and your business and taking something and really turning it into something that could be operationally excellent.